Hi there, I thought we'd have a go today at a cloud study, oils on gessoed paper. There's an old piece of paper which I'd glued to a board which couldn't really use for much else, so I wanted to just try a few sketches and studies on it, and I thought this would be an ideal opportunity to show you how I paint alla prima, so all in one go. This took me about 15 minutes in real time, and obviously I've condensed it down for this 6-minute video. As you can see, I'm just pre-mixing some sky colours. I'll just like showing you what I'm using. So for instance, the mixes here are on the left you can see a mix of manganese blue, Alizarin Crimson and white mixed together. In the centre you've got a cobalt blue and a white, and on the right hand side there you've got a manganese blue with a lemon yellow and some white, and these are three basic colours which I used for the background of the sky. So I'm just scrubbing this paint in using a little bit of medium, which is a stand oil and a non-odour turps mix. Because the paper is so absorbent and dry surface, you just need a little bit of medium to help it flow a bit more without it being too, you don't want it to become too wet and slippy for later, because you're going to be painting the cloud edges over the top of this wet paint. There you see, I'm just blocking in this sky. Top, I've got the darker cobalt blue mixture is up in the top right, coming across to the centre. Then I used on manganese with the Alizarin Crimson, and towards the bottom edge of the sky is where that lighter mix of manganese blue and the lemon yellow and white was. And obviously you blend between the two or three mixes. And in the cloud pattern here, I'm just I left the shape, a rough shape of the cloud, and then I just start to fill in this cloud now with some sort of grey mixes. And I think I used the same brush for the whole process there for that part, without cleaning too much, because you can still use some of that sky colour in the cloud as you're making up these sort of violet lilac-y greys with your sky mixture. And you can add lemon yellow, raw sienna and Alizarin Crimson into these blue sky mixtures to make your greys for the cloud. And you're following that photograph as a rough guide for your cloud, but it doesn't have to be exact, obviously, because if you're painting from life, which I will do a video painting sky clouds from life at some point soon. But if you're painting from life, obviously the cloud is constantly moving, so yeah, you just want to use it as a guide. And have some fun in creating some of these shapes and patterns inside and the colours. You can have a lot of fun. I often use, in this method of painting, I'm often using the flat part of the brush. The brush is at quite an angle to the board rather than using the tip of the brush. I'm often using the side of the bristles. This is a filbert brush. And I'm just sort of stroking the paint on and then blending any little areas I need to, and leaving marks slightly thicker in other areas as well. Basically that's my method of painting alla prima, especially when I'm outdoors. This is the way I would paint generally without over blending and getting muddy colours then, because remember, you're painting wet into wet, you haven't got time in this method to let it dry. I find these type of studies in the studio really good practice for you if you want to go out painting outside when you've got lots of other things to worry about, like the weather. But to get practicing indoors before you go outside with your oils and painting like this is really a really good idea, and I do it quite often before I start going out in the spring and summer. Starting to cut into the sky now, so this is important, I find, is to paint this over into the wet sky to give you your softer edges that you want where the cloud vapour is sort of dispersed into the sky. You want some harder edges, perhaps where the sun is catching the sides of the clouds. You want some harder edges with more opaque paint. And you can see how the angle of the brush there as I stroke the paint onto quite wet paint. I stroke the paint on. There's a smaller round brush for some of the opaque whites. So there I'm cutting in with some a nice sort of warm white mixed with some cadmium yellow, and I put whites in that's got a tint of Alizarin Crimson in there, maybe whites with more towards the violet side, just tinted, and that's how I build up the clouds. And it wet into wet. And that was it. That's the end of that one already, and that's what we ended up with after about 15 minutes of painting. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.